What's up, guys? Mr. Dan here. Came home with a bit of a fever today, so this review is going to be, frankly, a little bit, it's not going to be the greatest, perhaps. It's going to be an under-the-weather review. This movie was awesome. The Velocipastor. This is a Wild Eye movie that has actually sort of garnered a bit of a cult following. It's become, I'm not going to say mainstream, but it has been noticed because it is ridiculous and fun. The Velocipastor, a man of the claw. They also spell it cloth. But anyway, it's ridiculous and awesome. Let me do two things. I'll tell you the plot first, and then I'll talk about the sort of the tone of the film, which is the most important part, because the plot's ridiculous. Basically, you have this young priest played by Greg Cohan, who's kind of reminds me of Chris Pine. There you go. I was about to say Captain Kirk. He kind of reminds me of Chris Pine a little bit. He's a young priest. He's just brimming with energy, and then suddenly in the beginning of the film, his parents come to visit, and they die in an explosion. Kind of like what happened in Queen Crab with the parents. That was my last review last week. And then he becomes disillusioned. His mentor in the church, who's Father Stewart, played by Daniel Steer, who may be related to the writer-director Brandon Steer. I think that's a safe bet. Says, you got to go out and you got to go find yourself. So then he goes to China, and it's, I certainly don't think they went to China for this. I'll tell you that right now. And he's taking a walk, clearing his head, and he sees a woman running from a ninja. Ninjas don't come from China. This is not the kind of movie where that matters. She is shot with an arrow, and she hands him what appears to be a raptor claw. Perhaps a tooth, but I think it's like a raptor claw. You know what I'm talking about if you've seen Jurassic Park. And he cuts himself with it, and then he gets imbued with this power. He doesn't know it yet. He comes home. He runs into this prostitute named Carol, who's played by Alyssa Kempinski, who's equally good. And she has a pimp who's named Frankie Mermaid, who's, kind of abusive and things. And he's actually in the park one night, and he sees some crime going on, and he becomes enraged, and he turns into the Velocipastor. You may have guessed it. He then sort of embarks on a crime, an effort to stamp out crime, him and Alyssa, and they also start falling for each other. You basically have him going up against some criminals, and also there's sort of a cult of ninjas that are now after him because he wasn't supposed to become imbued with this power. I think they call it the Dragon Lord or something like that. Anyway, and so they're chasing him, and things. There's a couple funny subplots. The Father Stewart character, he has a flashback to Vietnam, but basically that's the story in a nutshell. An hour and 10 minutes, or an hour and 15 minutes, depending on where you check, and it went by quick, and it's a lot of fun. Now, as far as the tone, what are they trying to do here? That explosion in the beginning is actually not even shown. The actor jumps to the ground, and they actually have the words on the screen, VFX explosion. And, at first you're like, what the heck? And then when you see the dinosaur, at first you only see glimpses of it. When the whole thing is revealed, it is quite ridiculous. But I'm glad they went with this instead of like CGI or something. This is just a ridiculous movie. But I have to say, the tone of it is just, it's like spot on, the whole movie. You know what I mean? Some movies are like a shotgun blast of jokes. Some of them land and some of them don't. This one, for an hour and 15 minutes, was just very even, and it flew by, and I thought it was really funny. It's not always like you're laughing out loud funny, although there's some funny parts, but it's just funny. Towards the end of it, the preacher kind of turns into a badass, and it's just the actor just embraced it. Like every time you see him wearing sunglasses, you want to kind of laugh, and it's just funny. The one flashback scene with Father Stewart is ridiculous. He's usually mismatched army uniforms in movies bother me, but and he's wearing this helmet. There it is, right there. It's just ridiculous, and it just made me crack up. I don't think this is a film is rated. There's some skin shown, but I don't think there's any real nudity. They keep some of their underwear on during frisky time. And if I'll tell you what, if they took out a little bit of the language, I think this could have been marketed more towards like the late teen crowd. And I think, I could certainly flash back to in high school, a bunch of people sitting around watching this. That would be fun. Not that we paid attention to ratings anyway. But it's funny. There's even another part I wanted to mention where the ninjas are training. They're basically doing like white belt moves, punching into the air. It's kind of ridiculous. And there's a microphone that comes down out of the corner. Now, normally, I would say, "Whoops, they made a mistake." In this film, I think it might have been on purpose, and I thought it was funny. The other thing they do is sometimes the director, when it's time to transition from one scene to another, the camera will just kind of like linger away as if, it's almost like intentional bad filmmaking. And it's just funny. So I recommend this. This is on Tubi. I know I said I was going to do Mr. Bone Jangles. That one's coming. Mr. Bones just did a review of that, though. So if you're jonesing for Bone Jangles, go check out the review on the Mr. Bones channel. But I'll get to that one eventually. And I've actually got a few more physical copies of Wild Eye movies on the way. So thanks a lot, guys. Come back again. And have you seen Velociraptor? Is this something you would watch? Let me know in the comments. Later. Also, guys, I wanted to mention that the soundtrack for this is really solid. It's a lot of fun. It really fits the whole tone and attitude of the movie. Excellent soundtrack. Here you can take a look at some of the songs. I would actually seek out this music and listen to it again. Alright, guys, thanks a lot.